but he also included Joe Budden because Joe Budden, in one of his episodes, said not only does he believe that Kendrick used bots, he said, I know Kendrick used bots. And for some reason, not only Drake, but his legal team thought that it was a good
That's a good
idea
idea.
to put this in the lawsuit. Joe Budden is a man that was sleepwalking naked. Like, this is not a man that you turn to for any relevant information. Literally, like the podcast after this information came out, he said, I was making it up. I was just lying. I was just doing it for clicks. I was just playing the media game. So how stupid does Drake and his legal team look now? It's so stupid.
I always start these by saying this last month was full of stuff, but it feels like there was a lot of things that happened. So we're gonna start off and dive into April. First, how are you doing? How's life on your side, Aaron?
I'm good. There's a lot of complaints that could be made, but
It's true.
who's listening? I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Facts. I wish Kanye would take your lead on that, but that's not the case. We're gonna get to that later. Starting off with the VP JD Vance.
What he did.
I know that there's a general sentiment for Trump of just strong dislike, but I've come to dislike his group of people around him more than I dislike him. JD
Really?
Vance topping that list. No, I lied. RFK is topping the list. JD
RFK,
Vance
okay.
Yeah, I really do not like that man. And then followed shortly by JD Vance, who I don't even know what it was. In something that he was reporting, he talked about, I guess it was responding to the tariff stuff. He talked about us paying tariff, essentially paying high prices and then borrowing money from the Chinese, and he called them peasants. And I'm like, why would you do that? I've never seen somebody owe somebody money and then talk crap about them. It's beyond me. I don't. What are your thoughts, man? I
just find it funny that someone who's borrowing money from someone else is calling the other person a peasant. Like, hey, listen, I'm gonna need like $1,000, you peasant. Like, what?
Look, it's just a wild thing, and I think that it's more to stoke the dislike and the hate for China because China is the enemy, and truthfully, China is passing us in a lot of areas. Like, I'm watching especially like the EV game.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I think we talked about it last pod, and like the stuff that BYD is doing with their electric cars. If they get allowed in America, a lot of companies are going to be in pain.
It's over.
Tesla's out of here. I mean, Tesla's already losing their share in China, so I could understand the general sentiment of concern about China's takeover, but to call them peasants when you owe them money is wild to me.
Well, are you surprised it's JD Vance? I mean, this kind of stuff does not surprise me anymore.
But it's sad because we've got to the point where it's the extreme is not even. You don't blink at the extreme anymore. I think normalcy, anything that we consider normal in 2008 now would be like, dang, that's the extreme. Like, oh,
wild.
Yeah, like this politician said something, upstanding about this other person that they don't like. Like, really? Yeah. I think that would be the thing. But I don't even want to go too hard into this. I don't condone this because at the end of the day, what do you get from calling them peasants other than stoking hate? And I think this is behavior unbecoming of a VP, of any sitting official.
But that's the entire Trump cabinet, right? A lot of things that are being said and done, it's unbecoming of what you would expect. So the commander-in-chief himself says wild stuff. So does it surprise when the people below him are also saying wild things?
My biggest issue with JD Vance is he's a sucker. I just don't like him because I remember when he was trying to, oh, did you tell with Zelensky, and he was like, oh, did you say thank you? And I'm like, what outside of this, like if it was a 1-to-1 fight between Zelensky and JD Vance, I'm putting every chip I got on Zelensky.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's got more balls than him for sure.
So I don't know. We don't got to spend too much time on that. But in a connected thing, there's also I don't know how to transition this and not come off like a terrible person. But okay, let me start off by saying the Pope died. Pope Francis died, and that's a sad moment. Any religious leaders dying, anybody dying really is a sad moment. But this man meant a lot to other people. And there was a lot of things that happened around his death, and the one that I'm drawing a very ridiculously loose connection to is that JD Vance met with him 2 days before he died. So I'm just, unlike the people are joking and saying that and it's like maybe he's bored. He's bored. He's bored, and he was like, you know what? I think he was avoiding meeting them because he really does. Like, it didn't sound like he supported a lot of what the Trump administration has been publicly saying.
Right.
So when he did meet with him, and then he died right after, people were like, that's kind of suspect. But that's the internet, and it is what it is. But in a serious note, there was apparently strict guidelines around what to wear at the funeral for Pope Francis, and Trump said, I don't follow rules, and showed up in a blue suit.
Nice.
And it was, people were upset, but I feel like this was even more potentially egregious than when Obama wore the tan suit, and that was a really big deal. But like, there was actually, that was like an unwritten rule that you can't do it for Obama, but for Trump, they actually told him the guidelines, and he said, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And in all fairness,
show up there.
You got to show up. You're the president. You can't not show up. It's at least my understanding in some of these cases, you see, there's part of being in politics is you have to play the game, right? And though Trump does not play
the game. Exactly.
No, I think somebody probably advised him, it would look bad if you don't go. Plus, it's a way for you to, all the leaders were there. Even Zelensky was there, and they had to sit down when they were there. So I think he probably used that opportunity to, get some more motion on his tariff plans, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. But I just want to say for the record, as it's going to sound completely contradictory to what I said earlier, but it's the best suit that you've seen him in a long time. He normally looks for a billionaire, he never looks like well put together.
Right. I mean, but a lot of billionaires aren't focused on fashion, though. So.
I guess. I mean, Warren Buffett always looks put together. He looks like an old man put together.
Okay.
Trump always looks like, damn, bro, like, no one ironed your suit, dog. Like,
he's got a country to run, man.
I guess. But, I mean, the blue suit, it looked put together. That's all I'm going to say.
Isn't he always wearing a blue suit, though?
Is he?
I feel like it's always a blue suit with a red tie.
You know what? I don't think I've ever thought about that.
Yeah, I feel like he always wears a blue suit with a red tie. It's like his signature look.
That's his Steve Jobs outfit.
Yeah, it's like his signature look.
Interesting. Well, he did what he normally does, which is not follow the rules. And, I can't be mad at him. To keep the political things going, our favorite New York City mayor, the one that we all love so much, is out there on the podcast circuit like a baddie, I guess, trying to get people to follow him for his new campaign. He literally was out there talking about the fact that the deep state is real, and he's crediting Kash Patel's book, all of this stuff on Andrew Schultz's podcast, and just like, you know how there's a long list of things that guys shouldn't do? There's a long list of people I'd never want to hear from again. And Eric Adams, he's pretty freaking high.
He's one of them.
He's pretty high.
There's a
Him,
lot of people I would say that about. I could say he's one of them. I don't know if I would say he's high, but yeah, he's one of those people where I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm just getting older or I'm just becoming a bit more indifferent to a lot of things, but I just don't care about what have these people have to say. I try not to focus on them. I try not to watch the news. I have to stay relevant on certain things, of course, but it's just getting so ridiculous out there that it's at the point where it's like, you know what? I don't need to know this.
yeah, ignorance is bliss. I think also primarily because we came from a space where, for me personally, 2020 on, I was clued in. Everything that was happening. I remember I was watching White House briefing, things because I was just like, what's going on? And at this point, I remember the bliss of not knowing what was going on.
I
Uh,
do too.
I
I'm
miss
going
it.
back to that.
But the thing about it is, how can you, in good conscience, go back to it, knowing that like something can happen that can actually affect your life? That's how I feel. I'm
So
not saying that for you. I'm just saying that's how I look at it. Why I can't cut off.
here's the reason why I can do it. I mean, it would affect my role here at In Crowd Network vastly if I don't keep up with certain things. So I kind of have to. But 99.9% of the things that you would become aware of that could affect you, guess what you could do about it?
That's true.
Absolutely nothing.
That's true.
So learning about it is just learning about it for the sake of learning about it. It really is unimportant in terms of what you can do as a person. It's like,
You do.
for instance, the pandemic. When that happened, there's a lot of things that you really didn't need to know. And if you weren't keeping up with it, you were going to find out regardless because the news was everywhere. People were
Yeah.
talking about it. So you don't have to necessarily stay dialed in. And that's how I feel like with Trump and Adams and Vance and all these weirdos. I don't need to stay dialed in because when they do or say something that's particularly off kilt and odd, I'm going to hear about it.
I guess this is true. I don't know. It just feels, maybe this is like a weird sense of control where I'm like completely disappearing from this stuff and not knowing is a thing. Plus, to your point, I feel like you are gonna find out about stuff on when you're just going by your day to day, especially if you
Yeah.
consume any social media. So I don't need to be clued in, but like I don't want to be clueless at the same time. So that's kind of my balance there.
I
But
got you. I think I'm okay with the clueless part because I was clueless for a very long time, and
life was better.
life was good, man.
Life
Life
was
was
better.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Well, moving along, this one is also a short thing, mainly more to highlight that the people in the like Trump's ecosystem and the people who support him are kind of kind of catching a lot of flack, but not really anything happening. So Cory Mills, which he's Florida representative senator, I guess, or
Hmm.
congressman, apparently was hit with assault charges,
Hmm.
and so that's a whole thing that's going back and forth. But I mean, I guess that's just a dot in this whole thing. So hopefully it gets solved. But I mean, the way that some of these things have been happening, where like people are not even being held accountable for stuff, it's like, is it gonna
Hey,
matter?
thoughts and prayers to everyone involved.
Damn,
Yeah, I
damn.
mean, it's one of those things where it's like, man,
What else can you say? 100%.
exactly, exactly.
Good stumbling more into the DOJ was unable to actually explain going into the there's been a lot of stories about the legal resident who was wrongly deported. Um
Hmm.
and I thought I had his name here and I don't. That's actually pretty bad. I don't have his name anymore. Uh but he essentially was deported because he thought he was connected to a gang
Gang,
and
right?
stuff like that. And um, I'm gonna find his name, but essentially the court said that they need to send it back. Trump was like, "Well, I don't have control of it to send him back," and it's essentially it sounded like he was like, "Screw it," like
I
It
know,
is what
just
it is.
ruining lives. Kind of like when his first tenure took place and he was just deporting people and he had people stuck at the border and parents and kids were being separated from each other. He doesn't care about anyone, man.
Yeah.
So none of that is
Kilmar. Yeah.
surprising at all. What's
Yeah,
that?
I had to look it up. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And I
And
had it
he's been deported to El Salvador,
El
from my
Salvador.
understanding.
Correct.
And he didn't do anything wrong.
No.
It was like a
Yeah.
wrongful deportation, and they refused to correct this situation.
Which is terrifying because that could happen to any of us.
That's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there was even somebody had posted. I don't know how real this was. Somebody had posted that they were looking for somebody to essentially monitor people who are saying negative things about Trump on the internet. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know if that's true, but if that's the route that we're going, we're creeping very, very close to like a North Korean style regime.
Police
And
state. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I'm waiting to see the tanks running down Pennsylvania Avenue because that's the next thing to come. And like, I don't know. I just it's we've gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't know if there's anything that won't happen.
Mm. Well, I know that TikTok will get taken down because that's like that. That's like all their people. It's just a bunch of people talking crap about politics, just in general.
Well,
Twerking and politics.
damn son, the two T's.
Huh?
I said the two T's.
Yeah, twerking, politics, and what else goes on over there? Cooking weird stuff. That's what I see the most.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, hey, I don't personally see it ever becoming such a police state where it's like, hey, you say negative things and all of a sudden you're out of here. But
I mean,
he's definitely pushing to make some things seem like a very police state.
well, isn't there was another guy who was deported and he was on a visa, a student visa. I think that happened the month before, and they were saying that they deported him because he um was spreading anti-Semitic views because he had supported stuff that was going on the Palestinian side, and they literally removed him his legal status. So
Mm,
I don't
but he
think.
was formerly not of the U.S.
Yeah, no, he was here on a student visa.
So
So
how do they handle people who are U.S. citizens, born and raised, and they still talk shit?
well, that's the thing that's scary because I think that if you look at what Trump said in when he met with the president of El Salvador, he's like, "Yeah, you need to make some more prisons. I want to send some of the bad U.S. citizens there." I'm paraphrasing. He didn't
No,
say it
I
like
know
that,
what you mean. It's like
but
on some English to Australia type of thing.
yes, and once we start, it's not to be like a fearmonger, but like it's a slippery slope. Once you open the doors to
Very.
doing something like that, it's very likely that you look around and somebody says something crazy, or says something to oppose the administration, and they get him out of there.
Where's the line?
I mean, where is the line? Um, speaking of, man, we got to get through this this politics thing because it's just like,
It's a
man,
lot, right?
it's a lot. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
it's so
Politics in
funny.
America, it's insane, bro.
It's so funny because you're talking about being clueless, and I'm literally spending this whole time like talking about things that are, God. Anyway, so it was April. It wasn't what 4th. What was the tariff day?
Oh, I can't remember the exact date.
Yeah, it was. I feel like we should be better prepared for this, but
What are we
uh,
up to now? Like 130 something percent tariffs US?
China, yeah. So, but like that was one of the biggest things, and it came quick, and the market, responded quicker, and he also did what he did the first time he talked about tariffs, where he kind of flip flopped, and certain things are not tariffs, like electronics were getting taken off the list, but then we were adding tariffs to countries that have like no exports, and it was
Mm.
just like, what is happening? And truthfully, I feel like one of the things that um bothers me a lot about this administration is that it feels like they're doing things all in to say we did a bunch of stuff in the first 100 days, and it's very much reminiscent of what Elon Musk did with Twitter when he took it over, where he fired all these people and then brought them back, and it just creates instability. And those things may work very well in the public sector.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, yeah. So I don't understand. Like, it does not work very well in the public sector. Is what I meant to say. So I don't know. It just a lot of this stuff. I'm just like, what is happening here, bro?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not stuff we could do anything about anyway.
True.
So that's one of the reasons why I was mentioning, hey, not paying too much attention to any of
Yeah.
this. But we'll have to just wait and see because this is very early. I know that his approval ratings, Trump that is, has been the lowest I think I heard of any
Any president.
president in the first 100 days. So we'll have to really see because it is still kind of too early. All we know is that we're dealing with current pain, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that is going to continue to spread on throughout the entirety of his presidential run. So in the short term, things are looking really bad, but we'll have to wait and see what the long
Yeah.
term looks like. It could get worse, it could get better. We don't know. We're kind of
Yeah.
just speculating and assuming and just dealing with things as they happen.
100%. And I definitely think that, I definitely want to not be in a place that's like stoking fear, because I feel like we get enough of that on the internet. But at the same time, it's like, we are, to your point, we are feeling pain. Like, I watch the
Current.
prices of stuff go up, and, and the weird part about it is, like, when you hear them talk, it sounds like they're like, well, yeah, like, things are better. This is better than any other time before. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a
Better?
little confused.
Who
What
the
is
hell is
better?
saying that?
I mean, we keep. I don't know. I know you don't. I know you don't really watch a lot of TV, but like, we've been watching stuff on like Hulu, and Hulu has ads for us because we did not pay for the tier, and it's honestly every other ad is a Trump ad.
Really? Well, I actually do have Hulu, and it also is the lowest tier. I don't pay for it. I don't know how I still have it, but um, hopefully no one hears this and removes my
Yeah, I
Hulu.
know. It's
But
too
in
late.
either
You just
case,
screwed it.
I don't see any Trump ads at all. All I get is a bunch of medical ads. Like it's just like they're just advertising all these drugs that sound like they'll
Huh.
kill you if you take it.
Well, that's standard. Nothing's changed about that. It's interesting. I wonder if it's a locale thing. I wonder
Maybe
if,
it might be because
because
I don't get
yeah,
political ads.
I'm in a technically red blue state, one of them purple states.
Like a purple state. Is that what it's
So
considered over there? Purple? It's not
I
red
think
or
so.
blue? Hmm.
I think it's because there's a lot of areas that are super red, but then there's some areas, because of our proximity to DC, that are a little bit blue as well. So I don't know. That's very eye
Interesting.
opening, and it makes you realize how things are being targeted differently.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Absolutely.
I
I'll
didn't
tell
think about
you,
that.
I watched that show Paradise on Hulu,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was all like advertisements about like HIV drugs and all kinds of stuff. That's
Yeah,
like all I get.
interesting. What about
So,
YouTube? Do you not get them on YouTube either?
well, I subscribe to YouTube
Premium.
Premium, so I don't deal
Gotcha.
with those ads.
Maybe
I what?
maybe it was YouTube. I don't know, because I just feel like I get them a lot, and then there's I forgot the actual word, but there's a word for when your brain is actually programmed to hear certain things a little bit more often. Like, when you see it, because of also paying attention to stuff, it's very likely that I'm seeing it. But it's
Yeah,
very
it's like when you
odd.
buy a Toyota, all you start seeing is
Yeah,
Toyotas.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I know what
Uh,
you mean.
but I just do. I feel like there's a lot of ads afterwards, and those ads are selling like, yeah, he's here. He's making us energy better. The drill baby drill thing comes up every time, and it's like, I. It feels like, honestly, it just feels like propaganda. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's it. It feels like we're being sold an image, and now I'm concerned that it's just me. Why?
Might
Why is it
be. I
happening to
mean,
me?
your algorithm must see what you like looking at, what you're searching for, what you're talking about, and
You
they're
know
like,
what?
all right, this guy loves politics. Let's keep feeding him politics. Because
You know
I'll
what?
tell
You're
you,
right.
other than my wife, I don't talk politics at all anymore. I got into this one place where I felt like it was too much political fatigue. And
Mm-hmm.
I started realizing that the majority of people around me, not that I'm a Trump supporter or anything, but I try to walk the line of neutrality when it comes to looking at how things are being done. And it kind of angers me when the people around me kind of seem to either be one way or the other. And it's like, if you pay attention here, yes, there's a lot of things that are bad about this Trump thing. Absolutely. But you cannot tell me that everything's glitter and gold over there. And I don't see people ever pointing out, like, hey, there are some things that needed to be ironed out. And I don't know, because of that, it's kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm
Um,
alone in this. I'm gonna back out of this
no,
100%. So I don't watch it. I don't listen to it. I don't speak
yeah.
about it at all.
Except, except
Unless
when I
someone
drag.
says something to
I'm
me.
gonna say unless I drag until I drag you onto rap, and
Well, it's
then.
not just you. There's a lot of people. Like,
Yeah,
I have a coworker who does it. I have friends that do it. So when that happens, I will engage in the conversation. But
but you
me personally,
no.
absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I'm going out of my way right now on YouTube and places like Instagram just to start going back into the things that I used to be more interested in, so my algorithm starts to change.
Mm,
Because I noticed that it feeds you a lot of stuff that you don't, I personally don't want to see, but it's like you
mm-hmm.
look at one thing and then it just gives you more. So, yeah,
No, that
but
makes
that's a
sense.
different story for a different day.
It is. The one thing I would add to that is we definitely have become a space where you have to either be a part of something, or if you're not 100% on it, then you're 100% on the other side. And it's the most infuriating thing because it paints you in a place where I never liked, especially about politics, because politics are like, you're either Democrat or you're Republican. And I'm like, no, I'm actually like, and I get crap for that too, because I was like, I'm a registered independent, bro. Like, I am 100% on making my independent decision. But I've heard there's some things that are you lose out on, like you lose out on, not primaries, because you're not included or you're not registered to a party and stuff like that. So I completely get where you're coming from, and it's actually kind of sad because I think it creates a space where you can't even have a dissenting opinion,
Yeah,
or
it's crazy.
yeah, it's like automatically you're one of those. I mean, we had our own issues internally where someone thought something just because of, and
I might have
it
said
is,
something that's slightly positive about one thing, and all of a sudden it's like he's a Trump supporter.
but
And
I just
even
I
you are a registered independent, typically vote blue, but you're also an advocate for gun rights.
yeah,
So depending on who you talk to, Trump supporter,
but
Republican.
it does not make any sense to me because we do not operate in a binary world, right? Like we do not operate with just you know ones and zeros, even though
Right.
computers do.
Switches on, switches off.
We do not, but it's so weird that in this time where our information is extensive and our access to information is so like literally not even just going on your phone. You could go, I know you're not a big fan of the AI, but the AI gives you so much information easily, and it's synthesized in a way that it's easily digestible,
Right.
to the place where now people don't even want to talk about something because you choose another side, which is one of the reasons probably why I get these ads, because I do watch people like Candace Owens and listen to what they say, even though sometimes it infuriates me because I don't believe that I should just get everything from one side. Like that is the biggest problem I feel like we have as a society, primarily in America, because I don't know if it's that way everywhere else. But in America, it feels like we have gotten to a place where you are either a Trump supporter or you support Biden or Harris. And it's like that's not how it was. And I remember, not to go too far back, but like thinking about during the Obama time when what is this the politician's name? I was gonna say Mitch McConnell, but it's not Mitch McConnell. It's definitely not Mitch. He has not had a quick thought in his brain 40 years.
Yeah.
He was a POV. He died a little bit, and
McCain?
McCain. And I remember John McCain didn't, he was a opposed to Obama, but somebody said something about him, and he's like, no, he's a he's a good man. We have different views, and I'm like, that is the part that I can respect. Where
I can respect that.
you
I
can, I
don't
can.
have to agree with you, but I could still be objective.
So, all of that, we went into a very deep point
Yeah, see
to
what
say that.
politics does?
Well, I was gonna say, with all that said, I still don't like Elon though, and
No.
and apparently he's stepping aside from Doge, but Doge has decided to cut their thing from 2 trillion to 150 billion because they were doing a lot of shenanigans. Let's be just completely honest. They were doing stuff that didn't make any sense. They were cutting things down. They were shutting, and some of the things of this stuff, like I was watching a podcast about this, and they were talking about the fact that like some of the stuff that they were cutting, you can't just start back up again, right? It's not just waste. It's like scientific research and stuff like the NIH was doing. You can't just like turn that back on, right? It's not like, oh well, I paused my video on Netflix and now I'll be back on it. It's like, no, it's
It's too
literally,
disruptive.
it's not, we've lost the time, and some of those things are just ridiculous that I just don't understand what the game plan is other than to create chaos. But I mean, hopefully with Elon stepping aside, because he was talking about how, and even Trump was like talking about how horribly he was treated, and I'm like, I don't give two
Oh my
craps.
God. Are we gonna now look for victimhood from a
No,
billionaire?
I'm
Like,
sorry, I don't.
come on, man.
And
Like,
it's not,
nobody cares.
and it's not to say that just because you're not a billionaire doesn't mean that you can't be treated unfairly, but you cannot throw stones and hide your hands. The reason you're being treated unfairly is not because you supported Trump only. It's because you were literally in there, you were cutting people's jobs, you were doing a lot of stuff that was affecting people who supported Trump. And that was the thing at the core of this, is that it's not just about your support of Trump that brought this thing. It's because there's a lot of malarkey. I can't think of another word. A lot of malarkey, and it's time for him to get out of here. I'm surprised it took this long, but I guess it's only been 100 days.
Wasn't very long. He only
I
he
mean,
only did what he did because he realized that he was hurting his business in the interim. So, yeah,
which is
I
sad.
personally don't care. Like you said,
Yeah,
he cost a lot of people their jobs. They raised a lot of, for the lack of a better term, they raised a lot of hell.
yeah,
Uh, no, get him out of here. Get him out of here. It's
yeah,
it's it's terrible. Even though I did not vote for either candidate, I did not expect things to play out the way that they're playing out. I honestly am extremely shocked by what's happening. So, well, again, we'll have to see how this all goes in the long term. It is currently too early to really tell. We're just
yeah,
dealing with the short-term pain. We
yeah,
don't know what type of ripple effects this could have. It could be positive. From what I'm seeing, it looks like it might be negative, but again, it's one of those things where you have to just wait and see rather than just taking a specific stance because it might not play out the way that you assume it is.
yeah, 100%. Well, the last political topic for today. Yeah, I had to check the list because I feel like we've been at it for like 25 minutes at this point.
30
Uh,
minutes of politics, kid.
Jeez, man. The last thing was Trump was also trying to throw around his federal powers to get Harvard tax exempt status pulled because they didn't want to remove, like, essentially he's trying to make everybody bend the knee, and as a result of that, he's using his power to do so. The funny thing that was interesting about this is I saw Candace Owens talk about the fact that they're using some of these things to force institutions and colleges to essentially bend to their will is something that she doesn't support from the administration, which I think is hilarious because she was a staunch Trump supporter for a very long time. So it
Yes,
is
but
interesting.
she's always not just been a Trump supporter, though. She's always kind of been a bit of an independent thinker. I mean, she
Yeah,
was with Daily Wire and got removed from Daily Wire because of her thoughts about the whole, Gaza Israel war thing that's going on. Her and Ben Shapiro got into a whole back and forth publicly, and he told her she could leave if she does not. So Candace Owens has always been, for better or for worse, a bit more of an independent thinker. She's not someone that I saw as being with the bandwagon just because. It always seemed like she had her own views on things, and this is where politically she aligned herself more, because she does have some extremely conservative views, a lot of which I agree with. So I'm not shocked by the fact that she may be outspoken about the way that the things the current administration is doing. I wouldn't be surprised about her being outspoken about some of those things. That wouldn't shock me at all. She
Yeah,
is definitely a trailblazer.
100%. I don't think she's wrong. I think she's, this is America's, free speech has been a cornerstone of how we do things, and
Right.
some of these things that you're seeing happen in the news is
Anti-American.
it's anti-American. Yeah, it's literally going against everything that America stands for, and so it's a
Right.
hard thing to see as someone who loved America. Like, so I get where she's coming from.
Of course.
But it was just very fascinating because I do see, we also got a video recently, a bunch of people being upset about the tariff stuff and the support for Trump, like leaning. I mean, based on the approval ratings, you're seeing literally that people are not necessarily happy, but at the same time, like, your opinions are really irrelevant because you already voted. So he got what he needed from you.
But you can't change your mind, though. I mean, even though you already voted for him, you can't say, you know what, I'm not feeling this. That is a person who, in the next election, might help bring things back to the other side, because now it's like, instead of, okay, even though it may not be Trump, they might have still voted red. Maybe they're like, you know what? I'm turned off as a whole by this administration and everything that they stand for. So I'm going to see what the other side might be able to do. This is how people switch sides. This is how states go from purple to blue.
Yes. No, and I get that. But at the same time, it's still a little early. This is like,
it is.
This is like, speeding through a place, getting a ticket, and then being like, man, they really need to change the speeding laws here. It's like, no, you did something that caused this, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I can't feel sympathy for you and the things that are happening to you now, because not I can't, but I don't.
So a person can't feel like they make a mistake and be remorseful for it. You're like, you know what? You already did it. Go F yourself.
100%, 100%. You can feel remorseful. You cannot put your remorse on me. So I am not going to feel bad about you and realizing you made a bad decision. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying 100%. I do 100% understand what you're saying. Can I say that I disagree? I don't know where I stand on it. I guess I'm standing in the middle. I can understand how someone felt, because, listen, I did not like the previous administration at all. If it wasn't for the fact that our current president, I felt, is more of a cowboy than an actual president, I probably would have gone out and put my John Hancock down and signed for him. But I just felt like, after looking at what he did in the last presidency that he had and the way he exited, I was like, I would have to be stupid to go think that this person from 4 years ago has changed.
Different, yeah.
So I can. What?
But to that point, my point is, you made a decision based on the evidence that were provided to you, right? You saw 4 years of a track record, and honestly, it's more like 6, because we have 2 years of the running, and then he got elected, and we had 4 years of him as president. And you, even though you didn't like the previous administration, still went and said, let's look at the evidence. I can't support him. I can't support them either. So I'm gonna sit out.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
no. When you put it like that, you're right. You flipped me because
I,
it's a lack of thinking. It's
correct,
just it's
correct.
I get what you're saying.
And
Absolutely.
I think at the core, some of these people made a decision because they didn't like the the past administration, right? They didn't like what was happening. They were hearing record inflation. They were hearing all this stuff about the economy. They were hearing essentially that it felt to the regular person that the Democrats had become the establishment. They weren't for the people. They were literally going about things and they were not connecting with their base. And a lot of these people felt left out of the equation. And then you had somebody who was coming to them and bringing them, it's like, when you see the bird, the baby bird in the thing, the mother, chews it up, or the parent chews it up and gives them he was giving them the nuggets, and he spoke to the base, and
They ate it up.
they ate it up. But now they realized the whole time he was bringing you shit. He literally was bringing you shit, and you were like, "Oh, it's small pieces of shit. It's not that bad." But so that's why I'm like, I could understand you becoming self-aware. I just also at the same time can't overlook your oversight.
And if we're gonna call a spade, a lot of those people voted for Trump because they just didn't want to see Kamala in the office.
But truthfully, I feel like I also blame the Democrats for that, because they gave her the time that Trump's been in president currently to run what would have been a 2-year campaign.
Yeah, she
There are
was
people who
handed a
still
bad hand. Yeah.
people who still didn't know really anything about her. Like one of
I
the
agree.
arguments that people had was, oh, she's uneducated, and I'm like, how could she be uneducated? She literally is one. I would say outside of Hillary Clinton, she was probably one of the most qualified people for this role.
Let's just say she was uneducated. Look at who she's running against. You can't talk about education and then go vote Trump because come on, man. Well, if we're
But
talking lack of education, someone who doesn't even have the ability to publicly speak, come on. Come on.
but I don't think that what we realize in a lot of these cases, and we're going way off the topic here, but in a lot of these cases, if I can make you believe that I am not like that, then it's like up is down, right? Like it doesn't. What do you mean? Like the sun rises? No, it's like the sun only sets. We're like, but it has to rise to set, right? Like it's one of those cases where, to use another analogy, which is not really connected. It's like the 50 Cent and Ja Rule, right? Like 50 Cent kind of clowned Ja Rule for making like that, what felt like making some of the softer music. That then 50 Cent was actually doing some of that as well. Not to say his music was soft, but he knew the formula, and he
He was
figured, well,
appealing to a certain, yeah, I get it.
demographic.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we saw with this was he spoke to the demographic in a way that they felt like they were being left out by this agenda. And I get it. I completely understand that. And that's why I say I can understand where you're like, I'm, indecisive about their changing of opinion. My problem is that they've had too many years. Like at a certain point, it's like what did Bush Jr. say? It's like, fool me once, can't fool me again. It's like, you've been fooled
Oh my
once.
god! Oh my god! And
So
fool me twice. You never fool me again. He's got
so
so many quotables, man. I
oh
miss
man,
that guy.
what's so crazy is a perfect example of you never know what you have until it's gone.
That is
Because I
so true.
remember that guy was the bad guy, but I mean, I would take another third term of him
I
over.
would sign up for him again.
I would vote for
Absolutely.
him proudly. So
And he represented the
the
Republican
people.
Party at a time that didn't seem like they were as far right as they are now. It seemed
Yeah,
like it was a little bit more balanced. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
we've lost a lot of footing as a country. We got to get back on ground, on solid
yeah.
ground.
To lighter topics, because I know
Please.
we started off heavy handed here. So
Lost half the audience.
yeah, everybody's gone. So if you made it this far, this is the real episode. But so Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese beef has popped up again because Nike put up a billboard not too far from Angel Reese's team where they play, and people were calling it disrespectful, and Angel Reese was calling for a boycott of Nike, and I'm just like, at this point, we need to no longer use the boycott playbook. It doesn't work. I I think I've said it multiple times in the podcast. Controlling the money is a very important way for us to actually make change, right? By making people
Definitely.
feel the pain of, hey, you're not getting money from us if you're going to continue to do this. But by the same token, why are we boycotting Nike because of this?
I'm not. I'll tell you that right now. If a nice pair of Jordans pop up, I'm buying them. I don't care about that.
And I'm like, you know what? We're using what would have been something to elicit great change for things that are petty, and I don't think that's a good use of the time.
I agree.
It's just like when God damn it, I forgot her name. My brain is all the way tired today. We were talking about boycotting Netflix.
With Chappelle?
No, it wasn't Chappelle. It was Monique. Monique was talking about boycotting Netflix, and I'm
okay,
like,
because she wasn't being paid
and I'm
fairly
like,
or something, right?
I completely understand the space as a creator. You want to be paid for your work. And maybe she was, reaching out to her core audience to say, if you love me, you will not support them. But at the same
Chappelle
time,
did it.
but that's
She was trying to take a page out of his blueprint.
But here's the thing. I think that you have to be in a space where you're feeding your fans and your fans feel like they know you and they're a part of your journey. You can't call a boycott when you're a second year or in the WNBA and nobody knows really who you are like that, right? Like, and to the Monique thing, Monique has not been active
Relevant.
enough. I didn't want to do relevant. I wanted to relevant. Relevant sounds kind of insulting, but you are right. Relevant is a word that came to mind. I was trying to be diplomatic. She hasn't been active or relevant enough to a wider base of people for you to call a boycott. So I want to say for the rest of 2025, we only got a couple months left. Let's not talk of this boycott thing unless we're actually going to do something. Like there was a talk of an economic boycott, which I thought if that was done, that would have been great. Done well, that would have been great. But I don't think they did a very good job of really sharing that. I think that there needs to be a bigger conversation, but then you run the risk of when you do that now, you're potentially going to be at under the guise of these big companies or under the radar of these big companies, and they could come for you. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be boycotting Nike for this. If you don't like it, I hate to tell you, I don't know what to do.
If you signed a bad deal, work it out with the company and your lawyers. No one's boycotting anything.
We need to put boycott at the bottom of the list.
Boycotting.
Yeah, we don't want to hear nothing else about this no more.
I want to hear anything about a boy, a cot, nothing.
But as you talk about fighting it out with your lawyers, it takes us into the other thing, which at this point, I think we need to make an episode that just says all the things we need to put on a list to not talk about anymore. But somehow I'm going to talk about them. So Drake now is including the Super Bowl thing in his lawsuit, and UMG was like, tread lightly.
Yeah, and not only did he include that, but he also included Joe Budden, because Joe Budden in one of his episodes said not only does he believe that Kendrick used bots, he said, I know Kendrick used bots. And for some reason, not only Drake, but his legal team thought that it was a good idea to put this in the lawsuit. Joe Budden is a man that was
Sleepwalking.
sleepwalking naked. Like, this is not a man that you turn to for any relevant information. Literally, like the podcast after this information came out, he said, I was making it up. I was just lying. I was just doing it for clicks. I was just playing the I was just playing the media game. So how stupid
Oh
does
my
Drake and
god.
his legal team look now? It's so stupid. Even
But
when at one point they said that academics had this dude on his podcast who claims that Kendrick's team reached out to him to bot the streams and everything. Even that turned out to be fake because the dude came out and said he was lying about it. So it's like, what is Drake's team doing citing all of these random internet personalities as relevant sources of what actually took place? He's
you know what?
looking stupid.
You know what? It's literally like using ChatGPT for this. Like, hey, well, how can I use this? Who said something about me that I can use in court? And here's the thing: the lawyers should do some due diligence. Like, I think he needs a new legal team because
He
no one,
does.
no one did any discovery on whether or not this stuff was real.
Bro, citing your source and then it's showing Joe Budden and DJ Academics is crazy.
It's just wild. It's wild. I mean, I guess also we're in an era where, like, you don't need to be right. You just got to be first. So it is what it is.
That's what it is. Joe said it himself. He was like, I was just lying. People are saying all kind of wild stuff for clicks. You don't put that in a lawsuit. Come on, man.
I just
Not Joe. Drake is taking, he's not literally taking an L, but just in the court of public opinion, this is one of the biggest L's I've ever seen a human being take.
yeah.
It's just how bad can you look? Even with the Nokia song, everybody's like, he's back, he's gonna crush Kendrick, he's gonna be back at the top of the list. Nokia was at the top of the billboard for like a day or two, and then it got dethroned by Luther again. Luther went right back up and it's continuing its run. He's looking terrible right now. I want to
But
see the boy bounce back, but he's doing it to himself.
well, here's the thing, and I think this goes well into the Yay part that we're gonna talk about later. They
Another fall off from grace.
they are stuck on being in like in the spotlight. As long as they're in the spotlight, and I'm like, yo, Drake, if you listen to
Say
this,
Drake.
yeah, if you listen to this, yo, just take a vacation, my man. Just take a vacation. People's attention span is short, right? If he took a year off and came back with a banger, a bunch of bangers, not some stuff that you stole from party, like you literally can make a dent and get back. People feel like there's not enough things feeding the streets right now, right?
He needs to study Joe Budden. That man is the best rebounder from L's I've ever seen since I've been on the internet. I've never seen
Honestly,
somebody take so many L's and continue to just thrive.
honestly, it's actually it's kind of like a proud moment to see when he does it now, because like the last one with the
50?
the no, not the 50, the
The sleepwalking?
the sleepwalking thing. I was like, okay, Joe, you handle that respectable. And just him, the way he also chronicles it on his podcast, you're like, I can see why you're up there with, like number 10 or whatever your name is,
He is a
top
stellar
10.
storyteller.
Yeah, he's masterful at that. And Drake just needs to go out of here, bro. Honestly, he needs to just pop up in an episode of Degrassi. And Degrassi's still out. If Degrassi's not open, he needs to pull it together. Like, even though I want to say what they did to Top Boy was terrible, because they definitely killed Top Boy when he was the executive producer. But, find something you have enough influence to be out of music. But it feels like when you were the chosen one, and then now you're not chosen anymore, it's like, but like, I'm still the guy. It's like this. It's just like, just sit down somewhere, go somewhere.
There's like 3 or 4 things that Drake needs to do and he'll bounce right back. 1, drop the lawsuit. It's enough already. You lost the rap battle, drop the lawsuit, take the L, get back to the drawing board. Once that rap battle nonsense lawsuit is dropped, Number 2, get back to making music. The people will always love you if you're feeding them with the music that they like.
Learn from Kanye. Go ahead.
I, I
You
you have to be up with that one. How
so,
did Kanye? Well, what did? Because he's been
so
making some terrible music.
recently,
You heard Cousins? Anyway, continue.
recently.
Okay,
But think
okay.
about it. When he did George Bush don't like people, don't like
Black people were
black
rocking
people.
with him even more then.
Right, but then he came out and did, I mean, he was mad at Obama because Obama called him an ass.
Okay.
But he came out with an epic record after that. When he was doing his stuff where he was talking about, asking Zuckerberg for money, he came out with records afterwards.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo,
Came out with the Life of Pablo around that time.
Then he was doing his shenanigans again. He dropped Donda.
Yeah.
Now
he's done.
His music is not doing anything.
He can't bounce back from this.
And he cannot bounce back. But that's what I'm saying. If you learn from, that's why I say Kanye, not Ye. If you learn from Kanye, Kanye knew how to get out of that by pouring everything into the music and delivering would be top-notch work that you're like,
Yeah, he dug himself too big of a hole now, but you're right.
Yeah,
he was able to bounce back from a few really bad media moments. Yeah, so
100%.
yeah.
But go ahead, number 3.
And shut up, bro. Dude.
Wait, is that 3 and 4? Because you said 4.
I said 3 or 4 things that he could do. So number 1, drop the lawsuit. Number 2, get back to making the music. And number 3, just shut up. Because when you continue to talk and portray this image online, and you're popping up on this stream and that stream, and you're posting duck face selfies, and it just is not a good look, man. Like I think that if you're just putting out music and not giving people any other reason to continue talking crap, it's gonna go away. It's like Kendrick. After this whole, I shouldn't say Kendrick, more so J. Cole. After the whole Kendrick apology thing, we haven't really heard him say much, but what he has done is worked and put out music. And slowly but surely, all that nonsense from last year, I don't really hear much about it anymore. Yeah. So, but as you mentioned, it's this desire to stay in the spotlight and not knowing how to allow that light to dim a little bit that's ultimately causing the situation that he's in. Even him rushing to put out the album that he put out and it not being received as well. And, Nokia, I guess, went up, but it's supposed to be an R&B album, and the song that went up is like this weird 80s sounding Nokia, like, I don't know.
Listen, man, I think he needs 2 doses of shut up. So that's 3 and 4 in my book. And everything else, you got to get 2 doses of shut up, bro. Because right now, you're not allowing people to, it's like getting a cut on your arm, and every time, instead of it healing, you just end up cutting yourself again there. It's like, yo, you're gonna you're bleeding out, my man. Like
allow the wound to heal.
Yeah. So but speaking of, I guess we could leapfrog into the Kanye thing or the Ye thing, because we talked about it anyway. He dropped Cousins, which I couldn't bring myself to listen.
You did not listen to it?
I didn't listen to it. Woo. I just, honestly, on a high note right now, I've been listening to a lot of Dave and Central C, and I rock with them guys. I rock with them guys.
I give you a lot of credit. I cannot listen to that UK stuff.
I rock with them because they say stuff that I would say in records. This man said, I had 1 pair and I cleaned them rigorous. I'm like, who uses rigorous in a record and it sounds fire?
With the accent, I could see that
helps.
working.
It probably helps.
With the accent, I could see that working.
But like, I think even, the one of my favorite records right now is HYB from J. Cole, Boss, and Central C. I've been listening to that record on repeat. I can't bring myself to listen to. It's so funny. The way you feel about the politics is the way I feel about music that I know is gonna be bad. Like, I can't bring myself to listen to like anything from Ye, because he's just I just can't. And like, he's just done too much. It's
It's
gone too
bad.
far.
It's
It's gone
it's
too far.
really bad too. It's not even like, and that's not even mentioning the lyrical content, which is atrocious, but it's a really bad song.
And that's the
Horrible.
thing. I can't do it. But either way, it led to a tweet where he made reference to the fact that his cousin, that is currently in jail for somebody or attempting to kill somebody.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
I
oh,
think
sorry.
it's actual murder.
Unaliving. I can't say. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got
Mm.
to bleep that out.
Yeah.
But then he made reference to, some inappropriate acts that happened with his cousin, and I'm just like, everyone has stuff that happens in their childhood that should never be put on a tweet, and very much so once it's
Adulthood too.
Kanye. Yeah, yeah. No, there's a. I miss the times when our access to celebrities were curated feeds like Instagram, where it's like you get to see them performing, and that was it. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear, and it's not that I don't think these people are real people, but I think you're trying to elicit responses from people that are not right. You have all the money in the world. Go to a therapist. Talk to someone who can help you, because there's absolutely nothing that I want to know about this. And unfortunately, we're talking about it because it was trending. But like, I would much rather talk about something else. And I
Yeah,
know
I
that
mean,
that
the
is my
subject
choice,
matter
but
is
still.
really sensitive because this was happening while both him and his cousins were underage.
Minors. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's like he needs to take a double dose of shut up as well. Somebody needs to take his phone and his internet connection away from him because it's too much at this point.
At this point, you know what bothers me more is like he has a lot of celebrity friends, and I feel like
Not
somebody should be
anymore.
like, well, as somebody should be like, hey, this man is having an episode. Don't put him on drugs, but like they need to sit down and have some conversations with him.
He needs to be
Um,
on drugs, unfortunately, because it clearly isn't working out too well with him not being on drugs. That's
but
why he's divorced from Kim right now. He refused to control this thing.
it's just this is just one of those areas. I remember in was it Dark Knight, the Dark Knight, where they said Harvey Dent was talking about dying a hero or living long enough to see yourself become a villain, and it feels like Ye has become a villain in his own life, and and only tangentially connected to our own lives because we have to talk about it. But
Yeah,
it's just like I'm like, God, bro, like just stop.
for
Double
real,
dose of shut up, man.
for real.
That's gonna be our new thing. You need a double dose of shut up because, and it's not that I'm trying to stop you from your free speech. The biggest thing for me is that you're not, as a celebrity, you're not providing any real value. And I'm not saying you have to, but you're not providing any real value. And it's just like there's so many other things going on in the world. Why are we talking about this?
Yeah,
So
disgusting.
another quick thing that I realized we didn't talk about or have on the list was Shannon Sharpe and his whole shenanigans. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, April was a hell of a month. It seems,
it
huh?
turned out to be. I like
Yeah.
we haven't even got to the fun parts yet. Like I want some lighthearted. We're gonna end on some lighthearted things because
And
God,
I guess you could kind of just like scope over a lot of this stuff. Shannon Sharp,
yeah.
well-known idiot at this point, decided that it was going to be a good idea to, I guess, take it to the next level with a very young woman who also happens to be an OnlyFans model. And I guess he just wanted to really get his rocks off, and she was willing to help him with that because there's all kinds of talks of putting your tongue in places and big black babies being implanted into places. I mean, it's so ridiculous and just off the cuff that it's just unbelievable to me. And I guess that turned into the young lady feeling as if maybe this stuff was malicious, or maybe she was just looking for a payday because he announced a potential 100M deal on the table and she wants 50% of that. So,
Which is wild to me because I'm like, $50 million.
what's a choke worth?
No, I hate to say it like that.
I don't.
Oh my god, I can't follow that up with anything. But 50 million is wild. 50
That's
million is super
crazy.
wild, and I feel like just based on the way that we're approaching this, someone's gonna say we're being insensitive.
I'm being
But
insensitive. Make no mistake about it. This
I
is
just,
not something that I'm going to be sensitive about. First of all, it's an OnlyFans model. I have zero, like, I just don't care about these people. I'm sorry. And if that's
yeah,
insensitive, then I don't know, eat it. I don't care. And this man is a multi millionaire that's in his 50s. As a man that's in his 50s, you would have think that along the way he would have learned a few things, but clearly he hasn't learned anything. And he allows his tool to make all of the judgment calls for him. These are people that I don't care anything about in terms of sensitivity. I don't care. This is a man that is a multi millionaire that's messing with a little 19-year-old OnlyFans chick. Come on, man. Yeah. If people think that I am being insensitive as a result of that, guess what? You are right.
yeah,
Absolutely insensitive. I don't care about this. This is outrageous. This is something that disgusts me because I would expect someone at his age, his tenure, a businessman, to be able to make better judgment calls than this and to not allow his horny to make judgment calls for him. What the woman is doing is absolutely disgusting, but what do you expect from a vulture? That's what they do. He's a
yeah,
carcass. She's feeding on him.
damn. Well, I don't have anything else to add to that.
No sensitivity from me for foolishness like this. And if the tables were turned and I were to get to the age of 50, having made that much money, having been a part of so many businesses, having come on. If I'm making those kinds of decisions as a 50-year-old male, I'm expecting no sensitivity in return. I would hope that there are people in my personal life that when they hear that news, drive straight over to where I live and put hands on me
yeah,
because that is
mess up
absolutely
the mood.
asinine. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
expect that, bro. Come on, man. That is, bro, that I've it is one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. I come on. And she's recording phone calls and he's on the phone. Like, come on, man.
yeah.
You gotta know how to move better.
But the thing that I don't understand for me is you say I don't think it's an age thing because
I
I
think
do
so
feel
because with age should come some sort of wisdom. Clearly,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
But I think about it now. He's participating in uh this new social media world, and so he's clearly not fit for the new level of vultures. Because if you're used to dealing with the vultures you have to deal with in football, right? Like there's your access is a little different, right? So you're not just talking to somebody on the internet that's looking for a come up. You know, this is there's a school to this, right? And maybe he's just not fit for the new age, and
You
he's
know
gonna
what
have to
I
pay
don't
for it.
understand too? I don't understand how we can watch so many celebrities go down at the hands of these vultures. And every week it seems like another one you're hearing something about. Like, do you not pay attention to the field and say, you know what? It is just not good out here right now. Let me reel it in. I, I, I
I think this is one of those situations where the question is always how hot is the stove, right? Like is it really hot or is it like bearable hot, right? And people don't realize, so they tip the pot with hot water over, and then they're like, oh crap, it was really hot. Because I mean, you think of this situation, like the Jonathan Majors is another one where you're like, yo, bro,
that's a
you.
little bit different from the Shannon thing, but
I think it is, but the reason why I connected it is that like I remember they dropped essentially the charges were dropped, and later on, and it was like you didn't handle that. You didn't handle that in the right way. I don't think he handled that in the right way. But anyway, that was not on the list, but it happened. In a funnier thing, which may be insulting to certain people. Who knows? I just expect us to be canceled at some point, so I'm just gonna prepare for it at some point. But so Wendy's, you heard me right. Wendy's, the
Food chain,
food place,
the fast food chain.
Was throwing shade at Katy Perry when she returned from space, and she was like kissing the ground and celebrating, and people were calling her astronauts. And Wendy's was like, "Can we send her back?" And I was like, "This is the kind of petty that I needed in my life." Because I don't know what Katy Perry did to Wendy's, but it worked. It worked. So that was a funny one. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. I mean, we could
Not too many. I just know that Wendy's will never get Katy Perry in an advertisement. Jokes on you, Wendy's.
I don't know if they were aiming to.
You never know.
Who knows? In another news, apparently they are dire wolves again after 1,300 years of extinction. They were able to bring them back, and it's giving Jurassic Park, as the kids say these days. I hate it so much, but I didn't have anything else to say there.
It's giving
Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park. I don't want it in real life. I think we were blessed to be in a space where we could thrive, where we're not the prey. But when you start, like, the same company apparently is trying to bring back woolly mammoths. Once these things survive and they start living on their own, we've seen what happened in Jurassic Park. You're not going to be able to keep them. We're going to have to worry about, being taken out by, a T-Rex. But
to me, this tracks. I've been saying it for the longest time that human intelligence is going to be our asteroid. Things like AI, things like bringing back mammoths and wolves. Our intelligence is going to be what destroys us. We're going to destroy ourselves. We've become, I guess, too intelligent. And in that intelligence, we're just doing things that just are stupid and it does not make sense. And a lot of things that are happening right now that are being, how can I put this? That are being sold as being good for our future. No one is looking far enough into the future to see how it could be more detrimental than good. And I'm hearing so many arguments for why some of these things are good that at this point, it's like, you know what? You just got to shut up. Because little by little, everything is going to come to fruition. And then people are going to start saying, maybe that was a bad idea. And I'm seeing a lot of it playing out right now.
But to go back to our early conversation about the people who are regretting voting for Trump, I don't know if it's going to happen in a time period that people can actually make any decisions from. So it goes back to the whole idea of like, well, is it going to make is it something I can change? If not, then I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I think. I'm not worried about it because, to be honest with you, the things that I'm seeing that's happening, by the time it becomes so detrimental that it does affect society, I'm going to be out of here. And I'm thankful for that. Like, I don't want to be here for a lot of the things that I see that will happen inevitably. The only thing that worries me is the fact that if you want to procreate and you want to have a family, your lineage that's going to come down the line, they're going to suffer.
Yeah. But I mean, I get where you're coming from, and we've had a whole long podcast about this, so we don't need to go into it. But the question is, do you feel like at one point our parents or our parents' parents felt this about other things?
Maybe they did, but there's nothing that I could think of that was developed how many ever years ago that I can clearly see is going to be the destruction of us.
Well, I mean, people felt that about the television, right? Like people felt like, people were spending an exorbitant amount of time watching television and then trash television, and it was going to lead us to being...
Well, we're seeing the effects of that right now. So yeah, maybe they were right. I mean, look at how many people are dealing with all of these illnesses that are literally due to moving too little and eating too much. So yeah, we are seeing it. It's absolutely happening. Just go look at the medical statistics. So
Yeah.
if that's
Well,
what they were saying, it's happening. It's 100% happening. Look at kids. Kids don't go outside and play anymore. Look how many obese kids there are. Look at the current national rate of graduation. Look at the statistics in terms of just intelligence. We are seeing it happening. So if they were saying that, it's coming to fruition. Now, is the extent of the damage as bad as they might have thought it would have been? Not right now. But how long has television been around? Maybe 100 years?
yeah.
So
Well,
let's see what happens in the next 100 years.
the one thing I would say is that people felt that way about electric cars. They felt that way about the computer. They felt, and so
Electric cars?
yeah. I mean, there are a lot
I
of
mean,
people
because
that are
electric
opposed
cars
to,
are just cars that are run off of batteries. So
right.
if that problem exists with an electric car, it would have existed with a gas-powered car, no?
Yeah, but people don't necessarily think about it that way. Like I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they're like, "Oh, I just need to be able to fill up my car," and I'm like, "But you can fill up the electric car. It's not as fast as getting gas." So what I'm basically saying is that people will find problems with a lot of stuff too that sometimes are blown out of proportion. Not to say that because you've been very. I feel like the points you've given as far as why you feel this is a thing is accurate, and I think we are going to see some of that. The biggest thing for me is just that I feel like we were preparing for a lot of things like Y2K that didn't happen the way that people had thought.
I
So
mean, but
I'm
but
hopeful. I'm trying
did
to be
anyone
hopeful.
take that seriously though?
I mean, I did.
Really?
I was. I
There
was
were
in a house,
already measures in place before Y2K happened, so I'm
but
surprised.
the way that think about at that point I was a lot younger, and the way that it was conveyed made it feel like this was the end of the world. We don't know what's going to happen.
Interesting.
And the news also, I mean, I wasn't in tech the way I am now, so but the news that it was spread, it felt like it was the end of the world.
Okay. I mean,
So
I'm probably what, like maybe 5, 6 years older than you are. I never really felt that it was that
it was a
dire
real
of a
thing.
situation.
Well,
Maybe age had some part
fun
to
to play.
play in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also access to information because I do feel like I was living in a different environment. That, I mean, we had the internet, but the internet wasn't what it was then
Yeah.
either. So
It
anyway,
definitely wasn't.
we've once in a long diatribe. My biggest thing is saying is like, time will tell.
Absolutely.
You talked about health stats. I was like, don't get it from RFK's lead because that guy's a buffoon. But if you made it this far, we appreciate you because it's probably been our longest one on record
In a
for
while.
the year.
It's definitely been in the longest
For the
this
year.
year, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we appreciate you. Stay tuned for May because who knows? We didn't think
World
April was
just
going to be like that.
Yeah, the world just seems to be getting crazier and crazier. So
Every day. Whoever stepped on this butterfly really, really screwed us this timeline up. Really screwed this timeline up. But either way, appreciate you for making it this far. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.